Okay.
So, for those that want to see this, this is the Cantronics KPC 3 Plus. It's one of the newer versions, the USB version. Normally there are 4 jumpers in a row. On this particular one, there are 3. So the second one in we have there is set for, there's 2 settings on the board. And we want it to be set from the center pin to ground. And the second one, which is sitting not connected to either side, we want to take that little jumper off. And does anybody know what that's called? You see them on the old hard drives. We used to have to put them on to tell it which was drive 0 and drive 1.
I remember.
It's called a Berg block. So the Berg block is nothing other than a 2-pin device. It's got a little bit of a notch there so you can actually grab a hold of it. And what we want to do is put it onto voltage in. So now the voltage that comes out of this cable on pin 6 and 7 is plus and minus 12 volts or 13.8 is going to come in here and turn the TNC on. We don't have to have that other cable connected. So if things are right, when we plug this in, we have a TNC that now is powered from the radio. So we don't need that extra thing to plug in or something to fall out in the worst disaster day of your life. So that's all we have to do is just move that one jumper. Oh, sorry. And inside the TNC, you'll see that there's a battery. It's a CR2032. It's a 3-volt, basically a 3-volt battery, and that keeps the thing alive. There's a socket right there. That's for the real-time clock module that you can buy. You can buy it from a couple of sources. You could buy it from Cantronics in the United States. And I think, Amanda, do you remember how much that was?
Which one?
The one from the States, was it $40 from Cantronics?
Yeah. It was.
And we bought, yeah, we got some for Amanda, and I think they were from DigiKey. It was $8.
Yeah, that's what we paid.
Yeah,
We bought
15 or
15 or 20 of them.
yeah.
What happens if you don't have a real time?
Then the clock will. So basically, what it is, it's a.
Reversed it in 1999.
Yeah, kind of divert you back to times gone past.
Our units, the time stops when you have power off. So you turn it back on again.
Got a battery in there.
I think the CR2032 probably keeps the time,
Now,
but it doesn't keep the clock going.
yeah,
You just have to make sure it's
It keeps the clock current.
yeah.
It does. It also keeps the.
Here, this is dead.
It also keeps all your settings inside, like your call sign and everything else. It just keeps that alive too.
How long would the battery last?
I would replace them every year to 18 months.
Yeah,
As soon as you replace it,
Then you have to go in and redo all of your.
and we'll show you an easy way to do that in the diagnostic time that I'm going to do with you guys. So basically what I'm doing here is I just plugged the TNC in. Now the TNC's got a built into it a chipset that converts it to the right voltage. And that's the USB to serial adapters built into the TNC here. That is what's called an FTDI chipset. They've chosen that one because it's one of the more compatible to Windows for not having to have a driver. The issue becomes right now, I don't know Steve's machine, I don't know this, it's never been plugged in before, so now I have to find out what COM port is it on, and it's really easy. So you hit all we have to do is hit the Windows key and type Device Manager. And when Device Manager comes up, down under the P for port and COM LPT, we click on that, and we'll see USB serial port. It's the only one that's there other than this one up here. We know it's not a Qualcomm Gobi 2000, it's just a standard, it comes up as a standard USB serial port, COM6. If I went in and looked at that one, so if I click on that with the right mouse and go to Properties, you'll see that it says Manufacturer FTDI. So we know that that's an FTDI, that matches here. We know we're on the right COM port. And we can actually change the COM port number at that point if we need to, and I'll explain that in the stuff to come.
Sunday.
On Sunday, so here we are at COM port 6. So now that I know it's COM port 6, I will bring back up the program that Steve uses, which is PuTTY, and that should be that one, I believe. And I'm going to change to serial, and we want to change that to COM port 6. And hit enter, and then we'll just cycle the TNC and see if we get anything. And of course, it's going to be the one that doesn't allow us to do it.
So open up one link, establish a session.
Yeah.
That's how I do it.
What was the serial number you put in?
COM 6.
COM 6.
Oh, okay, I thought there was another something
One link's
beside
up
it.
here.
Yeah, you got it. So we'll just see. Who's Matt?
Yes.
You're hiding by me.
Hi.
Was this one set up before at all? Not that you know of?
I think it's fresh out of the box, actually.
No, it might be Autobot.
All right, we'll just see if we can connect to it. This is where I like to have the airmail, because airmail does a fantastic job of making it work. And all.
Question.
What's that?
When you open up Airmail, does it reset your TNC's parameters?
No. If you set it up correctly, that's another subject in the diagnostic stuff. You have to watch. Back in, I think it was July 31st. I can't remember what year it was now. I don't know who it was. Somebody started using a program called Outpost. And when you load Outpost, it changes 21 of your parameters. So all of a sudden it takes your TNC and makes it totally useless. Because what you have to do is a process for you to start it up in Outpost, and because you had it already, it automatically overwrites your commands. So what we do in Airmail is we match the commands set to WinLink to Airmail so that everything matches. And when everything matches, it's really simple. You just click on terminal or the session for it, and it just goes away and says initialized OK. It changes its Autobot. It does all of that type of stuff. If you don't have it, then you have to start going back and changing the speed of the port. So, and that's you have to stop and do all of the stuff to do that. So we're going to try and do that. If there's no Autobot even showing here. I'm not seeing anything, and I can't tell. The Airmail will show me whether the serial port is reacting correctly too as well. So just give me a sec. I'll see if I can get past this.
Do you want a laptop with Airmail on it?
We can do that, and let's see how much easier it is with Airmail.
There's one right over here, Matt.
Yeah, pick one. There's a whole pile on the table back there.
We only have about like a dozen and a half
The
left.
fact that it's not coming up with any kind of Autobot means you're not seeing anything. It should be cycling.
So the other thing we can do, and maybe this would be a good time to show this, in the TNC, I'm going to take the lid off it again, and when all else fails, we know that it's the right serial port. It's COM port 6. What we can do is reset the TNC back to factory.
Now, you have the power on that thing, right?
I hope so. So on the TNC, that one there is the one that resets the TNC. That's the one right on the corner. This is where the old battery slot was. You could actually put a 9-volt battery inside. Well, right there on just about every one of the Cantronics KPC series is right there. So if we have it correctly, we should be able to reset the TNC, and it's not on any pin. There's 2 pins in it. The Berg block is on 1. We're going to take it and put it across 2. And we should see something here. Now I've got it set up here. Let me just double check. Let me just go to setup. We've got it set. We'll set it to 9600 and update that, and we'll say connect. We see nothing happening there, and let's just see if we can make this fly. I don't see it responding at all at this point in time. normally you would see characters that you can't recognize. It'll go through an auto baud routine until it finally it starts at 1200, goes to 2400, 4800, 9600. If we had it set at 96, you'll see ASCII characters changing, and then you'll see enter your call sign. So we're not having any luck with this at this moment in time. I could, we got a, oh, there's a computer. Let's just try, that's got airmail out. Let's just see if we can make that. That's okay back there, Steve?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, so this one shows it as COM port 7.
Okay, so we're on COM port 7.
Use it with a bowl.
Oh, okay.
It'll do APRS.
Yeah.
Is this more forgiving?
No, it is. Okay.
That was his.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the tools. I'm going to go into the options in airmail. I am going to turn off everything except for the VHF packet setting. I'm going to set it for KPC 3 and COM port 7 and say OK. And well, let me just go back here and I'll just show you. This is right here. It says 500. So that's the 52 we had on the other one. This one is set default by 500. And you notice it's grayed out. You have to change that, you have to go to a different style TNC, change it, and then put it back. And I'm going to show you that in more detail later, but I'll just let you know what I'm doing here. And then I'm going to go to the connection window, which is set up for HF. We want to be matching on both sides. So we're going to tell it that it is a Cantronics TNC, and it's going to be on COM port 7. And when you do it here, it says USB serial port FTDI. So airmail recognizes it where the terminal programs like PuTTY and TerraTerm and all of those, they don't recognize it. So now you know that you have a TNC recognized. Now we have to make it work. So I just say OK on that. And what I do is, there's two ways of this. You can go to modules and client, and yeah, it's a touch screen. Module and client, and go to the initialization process, or you can hit this little round Earth icon with a 3-element Yagi imposed upon it. So we're going to try that and see if we can resurrect this TNC. So what it's going to do is go out to the TNC. It's going to try and massage it and see if we can get it to work. So this is the first thing I would do to see if it can figure it out. And look at that, it says packet initialized OK. It just fixed what we couldn't do with a standard terminal program. That's why I love this program. This was developed by a guy in Whitby Island, I believe, and he was a sailor.
It's still version 3.1, isn't it?
3.0.062. 3.4.062.
It hasn't changed. I don't
No.
know if it's changed since Barry and I were offshore.
Yeah. So once we've got that, I just go back now into tools and dumb terminal, and then we go through the setup procedure. So you see it come up with a bit of garbage there first, then it has it. So I can turn the TNC off now, and I turn it back on. And I want to see if it still responds, and it doesn't. So this is the thing that sometimes can really mess you up with the USB version. USB is a little less robust than a standard RS-232 port. So again, if it's not working because we turned it off and turned it back on, I would go back again and try and reinitialize it and see. There's always a chance that there's a flaky one, but not normally, so it says packet initialized OK. So I'll close that off. We'll go back to tools, dumb terminal, and you see what we have here. They've got a CTS, that's clear to send, and DSR, data send ready. Those two tell me that the serial port is correct. Now, if the words don't make any sense on the screen and that, then the speed is wrong on the port. So you have the port configuration you have to deal with. And as we have now, we have a command prompt, so we're pretty good to go. Now, what kind of connector do we have on here? None. So I have to now go back over to the other and get a adapter. This is the adapter war day. That's unconnected, that's unconnected. This one is here. One of these will work here. Motorola uses a different style connector. The antenna connector on a Motorola is a little bit smaller than normal. That's the one that's on a lot of the amateur radio ones. What plugs into that is a PL259. That one there is a mini PL, so it's a miniature version of it. It actually, the reason why Motorola designed it is it's the same size as the 1/4-inch coax. So the velocity factor going through the connector, there's not as much loss in this than going from a big connector down to a little connector. So that's a PL259. Now we're hooked up to the dummy load and we can do an actual transmitting test. These radios here are what BC, this style radio is what BC Ambulance used, and I think they surplused out a bunch of radios recently. And they're a professional series radio. The 1550s, yeah. They were, the nice thing, they cleared them all out and they give them to whoever needed them and applied to get some, which was really nice, but you have to have the right software and you have to have the right server key to program them. I just happen to have that. So at this point, we're going to go into the calibrate mode. As I said, what was the command? Cal. Okay, and it comes up with mark, receive, send, and both tones. So we're set up on the right frequency, 144.97, 144.97. We have the deviation screen open. I'm going to hit the T4 two-tone, and it's not working.
You went to transmit.
It's working here, but not there. So the other thing that can happen on these radios, the accessory pin can be programmed. You can all of the accessory pins, or most of them, you can do some changes to them. Let me just double check. I mean, this was on my radio, so I'm pretty sure that this one is correct. And pin 3 is push to talk, transmit audio, ground, and receive audio. Yeah, this is programmed correct, but it is not operationally correct.
And you're saying the radio itself will be programmed?
It could be a radio programming issue. So what I think, instead of us sitting here wasting a whole pile of time, I think we'll just take this one and I'll take this one with me tonight, and I'll see if I can resurrect it and find out what is actually wrong. I don't have the programming software with me for this one. I don't think I have it with me, but I can do a few tests because I have some equipment with me. I can do some more tests. So what we'll do is we'll move this to the back burner for this point in time.
Don't go too far with that cable. This may have the same problem. And this is something to throw into the menu. This is a KPC 3,
Okay, that's fine.
non-plus.
That's good because I can show you how to do that one too.
Exactly. So this is Sean's kit here, and I am not sure how this is set up or organized, and
That's okay. Well,
we're about to find out.
this is good because you can see some of the issues you can run
We
into.
also have no cables for this. So it'll take the serial cable, which we don't have.
I have a serial cable on the.
Yeah, I figured you would.
He's got one here. We
Do you
can.
want to disconnect this?
Yep. Go ahead. Yep.
Do I want to electrocute myself? Thank you.
Oh, I missed that one. I'm trying to not throw this little tiny screw on the ground there, Steve.
Oh, come on, you're no fun. Okay, so where would you like me to put this?
Just set it off to the side. Give it to Laura, and she'll look after it.
Thank
You give me all these good problems, so I don't sleep
You're
tonight.
not going to be bored.
And if we don't have time to do the packet, we won't worry
Radio
about it.
programming error, what are some other errors?
Say again, these.
What are some other things that could be wrong?
So, tell everybody's attention. So, what's the thing we're learning right now?
Let's stop with the side conversations when we're troubleshooting. This whole weekend is about breaking in and fixing it, okay?
Okay, so what have we learned up to this point? We're in peacetime right now.
Yeah.
Can you imagine trying to do this with the roof down around your ears? So that's what this whole weekend is about, is trying to get a bunch of things in your head of how do we go about fixing it? What do we do next in this process? I didn't expect that we'd run into too many problems, but it never fails when you do training that there's always things that throw a big loop at you, and one of them, of course, just happens to be what looks like a defective radio here. Won't turn on. And so I think I know what's wrong with this radio because I've serviced this radio lots, and I will take this one too, and I will try and fix that problem.
Pardon me, but it didn't work on this one?
I know, but it didn't power up at the beginning either. I've been pushing it, trying to get it to work, and it took
Okay,
like
good.
over a minute for it to come up.
Okay.
So what there is in this one, this head here on this radio comes off. Oh, there you go, BC ambulance. So this head comes off, and there's a ribbon cable between the radio and that. This radio is capable of remote heading it. And you would just extend there's a piece that goes on this part of the radio and a piece that goes on the back of the head. Sometimes those connectors and cables have problems, or if you've got a display that's bad, there's a tiger stripe inside that doesn't make good contact. The volume here is also a push to talk. When you push it, it pushes and turns on. So there's lots of little things that are inherent over a period of time. Now these radios were used in ambulances, and they were not in a soft environment. They were in a hard environment. Definitely they were a working radio, and that was part of the fun of it all. So now I need that adapter off that other radio.
Okay.
Can you get me that adapter? It might be fairly tight. I did it up with my hand, but
And this is the stuff that really happens to you, especially when you need it right away.
yeah.
Either that or a network cable.
Gave it to you. The silver one, right with the silver ends?
No.
No.
I put it on top of the radio. I put it on top of this.
Oh, this is the other thing that can happen.
I did. I put it on
Probably
top.
crawl
I-
away.
when
Oh,
it
just a
was all
sec. I
stuck.
should check my pockets because I'm notorious for picking up connectors.
Oh,
No, that's the
no,
wrong
it
one.
was stuck. It was looped.
It's not on.
Where did it go?
The little guy.
Yeah,
It's just
here it is, and you've got it connected. This is it.
no.
Oh, no,
It's
the little round,
the
the little
coax
round guy.
the coax connector. Da, 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 da. This one here.
There's one here.
No, you didn't.
Yeah.
Now you have two!
Look at that. Then mysteriously now we have two.
All right. So that is
Take that one back and put it back on the cable.
Yeah, put it back in the
Is that,
cable.
that was from yours?
Well, I don't know whose it is. I just stole it because it was expedient.
That's the one I normally have on my test bench.
That's right.
Okay. So again, this is a KPC 3, not a 3 plus. And to give you an example, it says on here KPC 3 8.2 August 1999. So, yeah, it's more than a week old.
What is the latest firmware update?
This is the current update in the 8.2 era for KPC 3. You cannot go to a KNet node on a KPC 3. You can only do it on a KPC 3 plus.
But you can use it as a station, and you can know.
It works just fine, and it'll have a personal node, not a network node. And we'll talk later about what a network node is, because it does a few things differently. So we turned it on, and hopefully we can get something happening here. We got that connected. That's connected to there. We got everything going, except now we need the cable from here we go, stealing Steve's stuff again. And this is typically what you might have to do in a disaster, you know, find the right things and make them happen. Let's go that way. And we need a serial port, which on the back on the corner. Let's just see. Oh no, we've got to go to. Now you notice we don't have two green lights. So I'm going to just go to COM port 1.
So you're running airmail still?
Yes, I'm running airmail. So the standard COM port on most machines is COM port 1. So I'll go through the quick setup, where we go to COM port 1, which is a standard serial port, standard communication port identified by airmail. We go to the modules, and from the modules we go down to packet client setup, and we'll set that one to COM port 1. We've got it set to 9600, which is the standard thing. The default is grayed out at 500. And for doing this kind of test, we don't need to change that. Okay, so we got radio on, not the same frequency. Let's see if we have it in here at all. No, we don't. Just trying to see if we have it. We'll just pick a frequency here that we know it is. No, that could be a repeater frequency. It is, as a matter of fact, it's one of the repeaters I look after. Just looking for a simplex frequency. No, nothing there, so.
What about the packet one?
145.69. So we go 145.690. That's the alternate frequency that we use in Victoria for packet. So we're good there, we're good there. We have the cable attached to here, so that's talking to the radio to the TNC. This is the serial cable talking to the computer. We have the RF antenna connected to here to the dummy load. And I'm going to go to that little earth with the 3-element Yagi, and let's see if we can talk to the TNC. And we got an initialization okay. So you see the pattern, how good it seems to work to get that sorted out. So now I'm going to go back to the dummy terminal there. And you notice we now have two green lights. So we now have clear to send, and data send ready is all ready to go. We've got it initialized as packet communicator 3 version 8.2. And I'm going to go, what's the command? Good. Hey, I like it. I'm hearing more voices. And they're not in, oh, and that was in my head, yes. I figured I better say it before somebody else did. Okay, so we're going to hit the command. What's the command for transmit?
T.
T. It's actually for, what does it stand for?
Transmit.
Two tones. So, interesting enough, we hear nothing. I hear absolutely nothing from this.
I think I hear something, but it's really quiet.
Just a carrier, that's all I hear. So, one of the other things that there is a possibility, this TNC, and this makes me go back in life, there is a jumper for handhelds and boy, you guys are really wanting me to work tonight.
Handhelds, icon.
I might have to do a little research to find out. I don't like jumpers because if you don't know what they are, you don't want to do it and find out, you know, you get things out of sync and that. So obviously the TNC is when we hit we go into calibrate and we hit T for dual tone. Transmitter's coming on. That's coming on fine. I'm just going to check here on this cable. We're plugged in all the way. We're not hearing any tones at all. So from that, I'm going to just send the single one, nothing, and the mark, nothing. So I'm hearing no audio. So either this TNC has a problem or the radio's not accepting it, the audio input.
I have a second one of those if you want to try that. But
Radio?
no,
TNC?
Another.
We could do that. I mean, this is turning into a bit of a diagnostic session, but I'll gladly do what I can to try and.
And then we should probably quit from there. I don't know what time it is, but I know it's getting on.
Oh, I'm here till Sunday.
Just so you know, Ed, we have that too.
What's that?
That's a manual.
That's sacrilege reading
No,
that.
men don't read manuals. Is that correct?
Most of the time you don't.
That's right.
And this is a 3,
It's a 3, but not a plus.
and of course this one we need to take the cover off, get the battery, and do that because that's an internal connection.
And we'll look.
What are you looking for? I've got the manual.
Is it for a KPC 3?
KPC 3.
Okay, so let's see if there is there's 2 jumpers that we're looking for.
J1 is equalization jumper on pin 2 header.
Yeah, and
HT modification is J2 on the pin 3 header.
okay, let's just see what that's, J2. And of course, trying to find the label on the board. Handheld is there, so that's high level. So this one is already set correctly, so let's just give this a test. We got everything connected.
Why did this page go black? Yep, that's what I was just looking at.
Who's VE7ABC? We're going to thank him tonight because I'm just doing a quick test. We're on a dummy load.
I
So
guess whoever Barry bought these from.
well, I just changed it to that. So
So it's some guy in Parksville.
this one has been reset back to factory. The reason I know that is when I went in to do the calibrate mode, it says you're in the new user mode. So what I had to do is type interface, INTFACE, space terminal. That gives me another level of command set that I'm allowed to use. And now if I type calibrate, we should be able to go into the calibrate mode. So interesting enough, we've changed out the TNC and it did not do any different.
Okay.
So maybe radio
Right.
programming. Okay? And what I can do is I'll take these, I'll test them on my radios, my cables and that, and make sure that the TNCs are good, because we're getting into this radio possible problems. Okay?
Now, we do have one pack tour system, but we don't have to do it tonight.
We can most do
Oh,
it
there's
like,
one more to be done? Okay, Steve's got another one to be done, so we'll do that.
you want a job?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, yeah. I'll borrow your screwdriver.
It's not exactly the right one, but it works just fine.
Okay.
That's somebody's battery.
Oh, yeah, that's Sean's battery. Good point. Oh, you know, but we'll leave this one in here and we'll give this one to Ed to work on.
Yeah, I'll look at it. I don't need to sleep.
Well, you have tomorrow morning, because we don't start until like 11 tomorrow.
Oh,
No, tomorrow we start at 11 and Sunday we start at 9.
11.
It's Sean wants his sleep.
So does Jared.
And so does Jerry. There you go.
you want to do this one? No, I can use your cable back. Put your cable back.
There was method to my madness there. Yeah.
You can see the value and importance, by the way, of having a small toolkit. Everyone should have, with their radio stuff, a basic toolkit. And in your radio room, you should have a more comprehensive one. Because in the field, again, or on the fly, during a disaster, you're not going to have a crappy, pardon me, a Canadian Tire or anyone else to.
And that little kit, I think, out of China was like $10 $10.
Yeah.
And it's got every conceivable bit known to man. So we're going to set this one.
I can't read it. I can't see if it's.
I thought we did this one, Steve.
No, no, I brought 3.
Oh, this is a different one.
He's a real man.
You're just trying to mess with my head, aren't you? You're doing a great job at it. I give you all the opportunity in the world. Remember, I'm at the helm of your radio.
That's right.
The square one. I think they're.
I'm going to disconnect this. Put this back with belongs.
If you can't laugh.
Okay.
What do we got?
Okay, so let's see, we got everything going here. Okay, there's just, what are we doing different here? So we got 144.97.
Robertson's Square.
Exactly, 4.99 kilohertz of deviation. So this will give you, let's do this again, so we'll give you an idea. So it was at, so that's as high as we can go. So the radio's being, stopping us from going over 5 kilohertz. So it's at 4.98 kilohertz. So if I was to do this one at a time, let's shut that off so you can hear me. If I do it one at a time, I'd be here for a long time. Okay, so if I go here, I'll just, there's one, and you see, nothing's happening. I'm going down one at a time. It takes forever. As you see, it's still, we haven't changed anything. So I'll just hold it down, and you'll see it start to drop.
What was the value, Ed?
Basically 5 kilohertz.
5 kilohertz.
So you say, oh God, you can hardly hear it. Why is it work that low? So you hear that? It's almost like it's 2 tones, so it's not going to be a pure DC tone, but you can hear this tone, it's pretty consistent. It's not ratty sounding in that, but if we go back up, it's kind of rattling. That was pretty close. There we go. So you can, you wonder why you get deaf after a while? Yeah, well.
This is why so many ham radio operators are wearing hearing aids.
So you can imagine trying to do that by ear, trying to set that. You saw how it, like nothing happened, and all of a sudden it starts to drop like a rock. So it actually starts out like this, and it kind of goes like this, and then it kind of goes up like that. And it's kind of on the secondary curve. You've got to find that little notch. And it's kind of interesting that 2.75 tested good, and it was on that rise notch. It's just kind of weird how that happened to work out. You know, and you start hearing it, you get pretty close, but, you know, when you do it enough times. So now we've done that, we're all ready to go as far as that. We exit out of that and we type XMIT level. And it says it's 141. So we'll just be nice and print off another label.
And the other one was 140.
140?
Did I give you a label on the other one? Okay,
And
cool.
this one's 141.
Print. Don't you like this? First thing you do, they cut off a chunk of your tape.
Yeah.
You don't pay for that, do you? Right?
Transmit level for this one was what?
141.
141.
Same radio.
Yeah.
There you go, Steve. I'll let you put it where you'd like.
So it's kind of interesting that the Yaesu, for example, was 52.
Yep.
This one's 141, and the previous one that Steve had was 140.
Yeah, and all our Yaesus in the trailer, which are several of them, they're all around 38 to 45.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then all the...
A lot of, yeah, it depends on, but now there's a couple of things you could do. there's always that theory that you don't want it down where you don't have any adjustment, like you're almost at zero kind of thing, because in the program, you can, in WinLink, you can only go down to 30. Well, if it happens to be 25, you can't get there. So in the TNC, you can always try and change to the different impedance, and that may change your deviation, push it into a zone where you can actually adjust it. So there's a few things you can do there too as well, but that's more the really high kind of level stuff. You got one more? Just that? Okay.
The other one, CNC doesn't work. That one there, TNC.
Okay. Nobody else needs anything tuned?
So I think we're now at our time for
Okay.
the evening, so we will call it quits for the workshop tonight. And we will be here at 11 o'clock tomorrow morning to start again.
Food provided,
Sorry?
with food.
With food will be provided. And tomorrow we will be doing a hands-on, we'll start out with just the overview of the software. Bring your computers and follow along. And then we're going to get into basic operations, which Matt is going to lead. And those people with radios, get yourselves set up. And we'll have breaks. I assume Matt will have some breaks so people can practice and get some hands-on. And then Ed's going to slaughter that with his basic operations part 2, where he's going to elaborate on some of those details. Okay?
Yes. Yes. So hopefully you're finding this part interesting.
Any questions or comments or feedback?
And what's going to happen in the diagnostic stuff, I'm going to put you here in front of stuff and say, tune it, so that you'll feel comfortable. I want you guys to all feel comfortable in, how do I find a COM port? How do I tune a TNC? If I had a service monitor, if I didn't, could I get it close? You know, where's that sound change? That type of stuff. And we can run everybody through that so you get some hands-on. It's not, you know, it's kind of scary, kind of, oh, all this stuff on all the things. But if you get to that point, I'd like to have you guys so that you can't get stumped. You know, it's like, how did I come up with what was wrong? You know, how to diagnose things? Do we swap out the radio? Is it the radio? Swap out the TNC? You know, it happened to be the KPC 3s. Their wiring is exactly the same as the 3+, so it's like, and I'll report back what I find. If I find a problem, I can't do anything about the radio tonight, but if I find a problem that's there, I'll let you guys know what the problem is so that you can have an understanding. You know, the more you see this stuff, the easier it gets. As one of the Army buddies who said to me, you know, plan how to fight and fight like you plan. So the more you have, the more you can't get, you know, just automatically you just do the stuff. I didn't get this to this level by just watching somebody. Yeah, got to get your hands on it.
Hands dirty.
Yeah, exactly. It's not for everybody, but you might be the one that saves the day by, you know, why is it when I plug it in, the serial port in on some of the USB serial adapters, does it change from COM port 3 to COM port 4? You know, you take the thing, you start, why is it stopped? It worked perfectly, and you went to the next one over. And some of the serial cables will change, some will stay the same.
And remember that during a disaster, time and time again, it's been demonstrated that the number one failure tends to be communications, and that's what we are. Thanks, Ed.
No problem.